So, like I mentioned earlier, or I did not, I don't remember, but I'm gonna mention it now. This episode's gonna be more focused on new player experience, like tip, thing we wish we knew, and regular stuff about like new player stuff. So yeah. So we'll start with how was our new player experience for each of us, and gonna put Nori on the spot since she's the oldest player here in terms of playtime. Try to see if she remember how it was before.
Oh, I remember.
All right.
So let's see. The first time I played the game was about 7 years ago or so. It was a very brief time where a bunch of my friends from WoW were all like, we need to find something else to play for a while because WoW is kind of boring. So we decided to pick up 14, and I was enjoying the hell out of it. I was having a good time, and then eventually my friends kind of all went back to WoW and left me behind.
Oh.
But it was the first thing I noticed right off the bat is how much story there was. It's definitely a Final Fantasy game, but in MMO form. And that's what drew me in first, because I'm a very big story-driven fan. So give me all the lore.
Yeah, and coming from WoW as well, I do appreciate the lore way more in FF14 than WoW. I can totally see your point there.
Well, it's understandable because 14 lore is a little more consistent than WoW.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a whole other discussion for another day.
Mm-hmm. If we talk about that, we would have a lot to say, I think.
Yeah. Well...
Let's get those WoW hate clicks.
Let's get those clickbait of, oh, we quit WoW for FF14 videos. Because that's all I see on my YouTube these days.
Yeah, 15-year WoW veteran is now playing 14.
But yeah, so you started in Evansward then, right?
It was before Heavensward, but it was after Realm Reborn.
Okay, so in between the both, okay.
Yeah. And then I played that for a few months, and I remember I was a little I didn't really know what I was supposed to be doing for quests, so I just did everything I saw on my map. Which I realized I probably didn't need to actually do, but I was just and it felt a bit slow, but I know that's just how now I know that's just how Realm Reborn is. It's kind of a slow start before it gets into the good stuff. And I remember how excited I was to have my own chocobo to fight with me. I was so needlessly excited about this damn chocobo.
Yeah, it's a nice thing that you can have your own NPC and you can tell them to be healer, tank, or DPS. So.
And I can dress them up? What? But I named my very first chocobo Boko, which was a reference to Final Fantasy V. And unfortunately that time didn't last very long because all my friends were kind of hounding me to go back to WoW with them and get into raiding and all that stuff. So I quit for a while, and then I started again back in 2016, I think. And I've been playing ever since.
2016 is Stormblood, right?
It was during Heavensward. I think Stormblood came out in 2017.
Yeah, I'm trying to check when did Stormblood. You might be right.
It should be 2017 because Shadowbringers was 2019, and it's every 2 years.
Yeah, it's June 2017.
And my first job was a paladin, and because that's what I was playing in WoW at the time, because this is this would be the second time that I ditched WoW for 14. Uh, my first job was a paladin because I was a tank in WoW, and specifically a paladin tank. So I was like, I never actually tried tanking in 14, so let me give this a shot. And then this was back when you had to like level certain jobs to unlock it. So I had Gladiator, but I also had to go level White Mage to level 15.
Oh yeah, because if I remember,
Uh,
there was a lot of nonsense like Bard needed Black Mage, I think.
I needed Pugilist to 15.
oh yeah, it was
You need to be able to punch stuff real good.
yeah with their bow.
Yeah, there was a lot of things that didn't make sense in terms of like also Ninja was not a thing until later in the AR
Yeah.
and a lot of other stuff like that.
So, this is also the time when tank stances and DPS stances were still a thing for tank jobs, where they had like a DPS stance and they had a stance specifically for tanking. And for some reason, Paladin got their DPS stance before their actual tank stance. And I think there was like a 10 level gap.
Yeah, and you had DPS loss if you were in tank stance, right?
Yeah, I remember that. But yeah, I was playing quite a bit during that time, and then I got to Heaven's Lord content in the MSQ, and I saw Dark Knight. I was like, oh my god, I need to play this. So I converted, which is kind of ironic, converting from a Paladin to a Dark Knight, because they're like aesthetically they're completely different.
And play
The whole light and dark thing.
Yeah, and playstyle was their Dark Knight is more selfish, I guess I could say, compared to Paladin.
Yeah, to an extent. They self-heal, but they don't have like clemency like Paladin does.
And they don't have like passes of arm and stuff like that. They got a lot of good mitigation, but not party mitigation.
The Blackest Night is a ridiculous mitigation
Yeah, that is
ability.
true, yeah.
I will sit there and test every single little AoE, every little like mechanic, and be like, can I Blackest Night this? Because it's also a DPS cooldown pretty much, because if it breaks before the timer on it runs out, you get a free Dark Arts, which is you get to use one of your damaging abilities for free. So it's free DPS.
So, how was your experience from tanking from WoW to FF14?
Oh god, it was so different. It was way different. I never had to fight for aggro in WoW, like, ever. And there was no, like, it wasn't, I never really felt like, because in 14, there's usually a lot of demand to pull high numbers while doing not DPS roles. It wasn't like that so much in WoW when I played. Like, it was like, you're a tank, you're gonna tank. If you heal, you're gonna heal, things like that. So it was definitely a little challenging for me, because I'm used to like having to focus on staying alive and protecting the group and everything. It wasn't like, okay, protect the group, don't die, and like do a lot of DPS.
Yeah, job are like way more, except for DPS, it's pretty much the same. But for healer, it's so different as well, since you have to DPS.
Yeah, with healer, there's an expectation to pull DPS numbers too in 14, which was also something I tried to get used to when I gave healing a shot in this game. But yeah, it wasn't like completely jarring. It was definitely a way different play style, but it was very fun to learn. I will say that.
Yeah, you're more involved. You, like you said, you don't just tank, you still do DPS and stuff, so you don't just get smacked around and that's it. You smack tank at the same time.
Yeah, I did a lot of tanking and mythic rates and WoW, and I was always able to like I could do mechanics like flawlessly. There's no like doing mechanics or nothing, but in this game, it's like doing mechanics and also doing a lot of damage is a little jarring for me personally.
Especially if you go in another content where the mechanic are not told, pretty much. You have to guess a
Oh
lot of
yeah,
time.
there's no DBM in 14.
There is one, but it's not
I mean,
well.
technically there's ACT stuff, but
Yeah, there is catbot, but it's super inaccurate at times, so...
yeah.
So a lot
It
of times...
also will get you in trouble for using it, if I'm not mistaken. So this is the disclaimer that we do not condone Cactbot.
Personally,
Yeah, no.
personally, I would say I do not condone it, because it makes you a better player if you don't use it, I say. Because you learn the mechanic and you learn the fight.
Yeah. Yeah, it's different when like the game is telling you when to use certain cooldown, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know much about WoW, but I have watched some of those videos where like people who were WoW players talk about how like having to do mechanics in FF14 is very different.
It is way different because WoW supports add-ons. Like they have like support for add-ons and stuff. So for raiding and stuff, there are some add-ons that are specifically required. Like DBM is definitely was definitely a required thing because it would tell you like it wouldn't tell you like what to do for the most part. It will be like this mechanic is happening soon, or like things like that. Because they don't make it very they're not as like easy to read just by doing the fights. But in 14
Yeah, and,
that's an experience.
and 14...
You know your prime numbers.
Oh my god, I hate the math bosses.
Like, that fight is so funny, because I usually get it right, but I love seeing everyone like, nope, this one got wrong, this one got it wrong, this one got it wrong. Okay! It's the same thing in Boshan and DR. When someone failed a mechanic, there's a big S on top of their head. Like a shame cone on top of their head.
Yeah.
Alright. Anything you want to add to your new player experience?
There's not much to it. It's I'm still like even today I'm still like learning how to do certain things, and it's been a long time.
So you are a big RP player, though.
Yes.
I don't think you did that much in WoW, because I don't think there's much in WoW in terms of RP.
There are role-playing servers in WoW. Like they have servers specifically labeled for role-playing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I never really got much into it. The most I've done is maybe visit Moonguard with friends just to see how bad the notorious Goldshire is.
Yeah.
I've always been kind of curious about that. I just haven't played WoW in, like regularly in so long.
So what brought you to the RP scene in FF14 in that case?
Well, I'm very big on writing in general. I love things where there's like world building and like creating backstories for characters. I just made a whole thing. I worked with a friend of mine to make a whole backstory for my main character because she's doing the RP stuff now, and it's been really fun to kind of like play a character in the game. So yeah, that's been really cool.
And also, like, there is more tool as well in FF14, I would say. Especially with the housing and stuff, that really help with that.
Yeah, there's like the housing. There's a lot of there's a lot of things you could do with like the emotes in the game, and it's really fun. Kind of like it's kind of like writing a story on the go, you know.
Yeah, your character like evolve with the time with what you do and stuff like that and interaction. It's almost like
Yeah.
playing like a D&D campaign, but
Yeah, but it's in like real time.
yeah, like more passive. Like, well, no, more active kind of. At the same time, more passive because you don't have to go fight stuff and stuff like that. It's really just talking to
Yeah.
other.
And there's like there's been times where me and some friends we'll play like a whole adventure, like going into dungeons and completing them and stuff. Like we'd make it like a whole thing. It's really fun. Now that I have a character on Balmung, I noticed that they have a lot of like really cool like huge events there that I kind of want to check out as well because I've never played on Crystal before.
Yeah, pretty much every night is at least 2 club open and on Balmung.
Oh, that's a whole nother side of the RP community.
Yeah, I mean club. I mean PG club, like just the good club.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
But like when I was doing Palace on when I was doing Palace the other day, there was like a whole on like chocobo race happening, and like they were like the person who was hosting it was like having all the racers like do /random, and then like the number that they rolled decided their fate when there's like obstacles and stuff. It's so cool.
Yeah, like all the RPs, what the people do with the RP in this game is fantastic. Like the club, the racing, like hiring people to be doormen, and you get paid a real gil for that. I saw like had to for law gnome as well. They wanted like a lot of them to be law gnomes. So there's quite a few things. And then there's always the other side of the RP that we'll not talk about today.
The Lalafell lawn gnome thing reminded me once that like in Shout Chat I saw an ad for like a Lalafell sports game advertisement where like the Lalafells were the balls. And it's like I think you had to be a blue mage so you could actually push the Lalafells around or something.
Oh yeah, there's a blue mage. There's a blue mage ability that'll let you pretty much toss Lalafells around like footballs.
The stuff people come up with is just amazing.
there's this RP community on Ether. They do I don't know how often they do it, but they usually have like they do their little like themed nights once a week at least, and it's usually they'll like go. It's always a different location every time too, so you never know where you're gonna go next. But they'll like decorate to like make it a theme. There was one that was especially popular where they were it was like a wrestling show or whatever. Like there was like actual matches happening. That was a lot of fun. They did an IKEA themed event. There was like furniture in random places throughout the house, and some were in like really weird spots and like floating up on the walls. They did a Chuck E. Cheese night. There was a I think there was a Walmart one that was really funny. Everyone had to get in line to get in, and they had to like have masks on and everything. And it was like a whole like shop. It was so funny.
Oh yeah, no, the RP scene, but that most like we're gonna talk way more into that and probably the next episode where we're gonna like dive into the RP stuff. So
wow, spoilers.
Not spoilers. More like teaser. That's the way I'm gonna say it. Alright, with that, Ryukyo, since you are pretty much a US player here, your memory is kind of fresh, I would say, about that.
Yeah, it's interesting because I did play the game like a long time ago. I've mentioned that before. So like I have memories of things like having to level Thaumaturge to 15 to be a white mage. Like, that's a thing I remember from like a long time ago. But I do not remember much else about my initial experience with 14 back in A Realm Reborn. So instead, I'm going to talk about the recent new experience, wherein I was very surprised, first of all, by like how different things were than I remembered them from my loose recollections. Stuff like skills that didn't exist anymore, like going into a dungeon and wondering why the white mage didn't put protect up. Because that used to be a thing.
Yeah, I remember that. Protect and Stone Skin.
Yeah, Protect and Stone Skin just gone now. But other than that, like, I'd say my experience was very... I'm trying to think of the right word. I mean, it was very fun, but fun feels like a boring word. I met a lot of really nice people in game. Like, I've had a lot of people who've been playing the game longer than me volunteer to, like, play on tank or healer and queue with me for MSQ stuff so that I don't have to wait as long. I've had people, like, see when I had my sprout marker, be like, oh, how long have you been playing the game? I'm like, oh, it's been about a month, and they just give me minions and stuff, and it's just like, oh, okay, thank you. So it's definitely, it's different in a good way than like what I was expecting. I didn't expect to be received so warmly by just the general public of the game. Mechanically, I will say I was overwhelmed at a few points. Like, I remember being overwhelmed during Praetorium by the little Magitech lasers, and like that's so funny now because that's so easy for me at this point. But it freaked me out in the moment, you know, just all those blue lines dashing across the stage, and yeah, it's been an experience. It's been a good experience, but it's also been overwhelming at times. And then later I look back and I'm like, why was I overwhelmed by that? That's so easy.
Yeah, like the game does well at teaching you like mechanic and stuff like that gradually. So yeah, at
Yeah,
first,
absolutely.
especially it's always like the 2 tests for a sprout when they get a stack marker the first time.
Thankfully, I knew what to do when I first got a stack marker.
So many times I see them run away. That or Dragoon Tether. Those are the 2 things that scare Sprout the most.
I did run away from a Dragoon Tether because I didn't know what it was. I was like, what the fuck is this Chinese finger trap thing? Like,
I remember when summoners got that AoE that they put on the ground that looked like it was like green. I always thought that was like a mob's attack, so I always run out of it.
and that's totally fair because it uses the same textures as Garuda's wind attack, so it just kind of looks like
Yeah,
a Garuda attack.
I was like, oh shit, they're doing a wind attack. I gotta get out of it.
People still do, like, I still see that a lot because I'm ninja on Doton. So many people.
Yeah, that too.
So many people like.
I'm guilty of that.
Yeah. I'm like, no, keep them there. It's DPS, please.
I cry every time when the tank takes the mobs out of my little AoE wind pain area.
Yeah, it's a linear experience for that. After a while, you're like, okay. I'll just put another one there. Then they run again, and like, fuck it. Alright. So yeah. So overwhelmed at first. Now you say you're way more comfortable with the game?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like, I made the joke about the knowing the prime numbers thing earlier, but like, that was when I went through it the first time. It was actually super easy for me. It helps that I used to be a computer science major, so like, I had some prime numbers memorized because math is kind of important to computer science. But yeah, it wasn't that bad, and I found that like, even at times, even when I'm dying, I typically tend to figure out pretty quickly why I'm dying. Because the game has definitely taught me to like what to look out for, just from experience.
I did teach you a couple of fights as well. How did you find those fights?
I enjoyed them. I didn't enjoy taking several balls to the face over and over again, but
That's just near.
yeah, that's just the near raids. But it was a lot of fun, and it was nice to have you there explaining stuff to me. So I died way less than I would have otherwise, and I understand those fights better. And it's gonna help. And it does help me understand other fights. I think one thing that's always cool too is I've been going back and sometimes doing like the older content I skipped while I was going through the story, like the raids and stuff, and finding like the seeds of mechanics that exist in future expansions as part of the MSQ from that other content. It's always really cool.
All right. Anything you want to add?
Summoner rotation isn't that hard if anybody is scared by how it looks.
It's only 2 minutes long. No, that's
I've seen the Stormblood rotation for Summoner. That's like 20 buttons.
It's really not that bad. You ruin, you Eggy Assault, you try Disaster, you Bane, you Eggy Assault, you Energy Drain, you Fester, you Eggy Assault, you Enkindle, Devotion, Eggy Assault, Fester again, Ruin Spam until Death Flare, and then you go into the Bahamut phase. It's not that bad.
Yeah.
It sounds like a lot, but it's not that bad.
It's pretty relaxed since you don't have a lot of OGCD to weave too much, so it's pretty... once you get in the mood, it's really comfortable.
The beginning is weave heavy, and then you don't have to weave again, like, at all, for, like, 30 seconds. It's pretty great.
Then after a while, you could push, like, 3 bottom and you're done. Like, one of the summoner statics say, oh yeah, after all this, I press 4 bottoms, and that's my rotation. That's all I do. And there was still top DPS.
Yeah, because eventually you're just using things off cooldown, so you don't have to do as much.
Yeah. Compared to Ninja, where I have to check everything all the time. Like, okay, is that up? Yes, okay, then I have to do 10 things and 6 seconds. Okay, go. And that's every 10 seconds I have to do that. Well, no, every 30 seconds because of trick attack.
Every time I watch you play Ninja, I'm just like, I don't understand what's going on, but you go do your funky thing.
I should really put like something that show all the button I push when I play. And you see like...
I think you can see the buttons get highlighted when you hit them.
Yeah, but like
so there's that.
Something I like on a controller, what I do. Alright, so is there something particular you enjoy in FF14? Like an aspect of the game in particular, I mean.
I mean, the story for sure, of course, but like that's kind of a generic answer to give. But besides that, I really like crafting, like a whole lot. I've been messing with it a lot. I've been working on getting my aesthete gear, and just in general, crafting collectibles as well for like white scripts for materials I can sell and stuff. That's been a lot of fun. I also really enjoy the Beast Tribes. It's like one of my favorite things to do. I pretty much do it every day.
I hate crafting.
It's so fun though.
Now gathering I love because I can just like blast some music in my headphones and just do that for hours.
I just push a button that is a macro and that's all I do.
Really bad for me though, because like my friend will be like, "Hey, can you gather like 200 of this thing for me?" I'll be like, "Yeah, sure," and then I end up with 2,000. Because this stems from my WoW days, because there was a profession where there's some gathering professions, and I'll be like, oh, this is a couple away from getting a full stack, so I might as well just round it out, and then I end up with a little bit more than that full stack. So I'm like, I'll just get this stack up there too. And then it goes on for another 2 hours. I hate fishing though.
Yeah, no, fishing can die. That I agree.
Fishing-
The ocean fishing is a lot of fun, but I
Yeah.
don't like actually trying to fish because that whole system is annoying at times, especially when you have to catch a certain fish, and if you're lucky enough for it to be HQ, you have to use that to catch another fish.
Yeah.
Oh my god, yeah. Oh, I hate the mooching system so much. And I hate spearfishing. It was such a dumb idea to add spearfishing.
They need to give a new spearfishing. It's like they forgot that they put spearfishing in the game.
Yeah, they stopped after Stormblood and they didn't talk about it anymore.
They should just quietly remove it.
Like they give you like one spearfishing gig in Stormblood, but there's like been nothing else, and it only bugs me because I have all my Estique gear for Gather, Pent melted and everything, except for the freaking gig.
Yeah, I wish it would give
It drives me nuts.
like the blue, well, the like epic. I wish you could get an epic spear at least for the. I don't remember the name of the quest because I never finished it. So
It's kind of funny about the like spearfishing. Honestly, if it was just spearfishing and not the regular fishing, I would probably prefer it. But spearfishing being added on to the regular fishing is just like so annoying to me.
Yeah, that's what.
Because like the spearfishing system is a lot easier to understand, I find, because it didn't get really fleshed out than fishing. But yeah, I don't know. I really wish fishing was like other gathering and not like, oh yeah, make sure you know the fish's social security number before you try and go catch it.
Yeah, sometimes you feel like you need to ask them on the day before seeing their mom that you need, something like that. It's so weird system. Alright, so I guess I'll talk about my new player experience now. I come from WoW, like a lot of people. I played WoW for 7 years? I played WoW since Burning Crusade, pretty much, on and off. I rated Hardcore and Burning Crusade, I rated Hardcore and Legion and BFA. I stopped playing at BFA because I was getting burned out of the game pretty much. And for other reasons as well that I'm going to talk a bit later. I came into FF14. I think I started playing mid-Event Sword, but it never really like got me for some reason. And I think it was just... I was so used to the WoW combat system that it was like hard to grab me. Like it felt clunky a bit too much. But after a while, I learned to love it. So yeah, I quit WoW mostly because I didn't have a big end goal in my head. Because of all the gearing experience, it was miserable for me because there was no real BIS. You had like 2 always get our dungeon and Mythic Plus and stuff like that to get our gear and stuff like that. And it's always seemed like a wheel with no hand at the end. And when I came to rating in FF14, I feel so much better because I say, okay, I can get that to 530. Perfect. That's all I need. This is BIS for me. I need to run that. Perfect. Once I'm done that, hey, I got something. And yeah, since then I've been raiding semi-hardcore. I would say I only raid 3 days a week, so I don't think that's hardcore. But we are cleaning like pretty much all the content, and we're looking into doing more hardcore content as well. I did dabble a bit in most of the scene in FF14. I dabbled a little bit in the RP scene of Balmung, on the good RP scene of Balmung, not the non-PG-13 scene. I made a couple of friends that way that like we were just like straight up at the bar or in the wilderness talking in character, and for me it was like, okay, I love this game now. I really love what I'm doing. I love my character. I'm invested in my character now, so that's the thing that really makes me stick around compared to WoW is I got so much more invested in my character in FF14. I started to play. I did a lot of change in terms of character. By that I mean I started to play as a summoner until they changed it. Then I went into Red Mage until they released Dancer, which I raided with Dancer a little bit. Then I went it, and now I am into Ninja, and I main Ninja now. So that's pretty much my pattern there. And while I was Warlock or Mage, that's pretty much a 2 class I was maining. So it's kind of a different path I took because I didn't play any melee character for the longest time until I started to raid, which was like 3 months ago, where I had to learn melee and ninja from scratch. That was quite something. But now I'm okay-ish. I mean, I green pars now, so I guess I'm okay-ish. I green and blue pars, so I guess I'm doing good. And that's pretty much it. There's no like... I just switched because, yeah, I felt bored and I didn't feel like I could reach my goal at the end. I did have like a lot of good friends, and I was a lot of PvP oriented player, which is not really a thing in FF14 unless you do the feast, but it's still like fun from time to time to do. And it really made me enjoy more the story side in FF14 compared to WoW. Because I felt more invested in my character and felt more invested in the NPC around. Because our character is making decisions, and those decisions kind of matter. Compared to in WoW where everyone does decision for you instead. So yeah. No big thing for me. In terms of Switch. Just felt bored, switch, and fell in love with FF14. That's pretty much it. And decided to right now be one of the crazy person that do light rampant now. And scream when the eyes shatter. Because, man, fuck that mechanic.